Good morning from the Hawaiian Eye Conference on the Big Island of Hawaii. We're pleased to be here with Dr. John Hovanesian from California. Thanks a lot, John, for being with us today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good to see you.
John, I'd like to speak to you this morning about a really important topic for cataract surgeons, and that is about the patient experience, especially in the context of premium lens implants and other premium services in cataract surgery. Why is it important for us as surgeons to focus on the patient experience, and what are some examples in which we can do it?
Well, let's face it, even for people who've been through medical procedures before, eye surgery is a scary thought. People are terrified of losing their vision. They've all heard stories of patients who've had complications with surgery, and they really just are uncomfortable with the idea of somebody coming close to their eye. So we have to think about the kinds of challenges they're going to face. We made a list and found there are 43 different pain points for patients. I don't mean physical pain, but steps that they have to take to get through cataract surgery. And so if we can look at those from the patient's perspective, break them down, and find any way to make them easier, we're doing the patient a big favor.
Yeah, John, and there are some certain classical examples that are discussed. For example, patients want to know that this procedure is not going to hurt and that they're not going to see a knife coming toward their eye, and those are sort of reassuring things to float by the patient. But what are some other ways in which you can reduce pain points for the patient around the procedure?
Well, one of the areas that's really uncomfortable, both for patients and surgeons to talk about, is premium lenses. The idea that a patient is going to go through surgery and pay extra to have a better outcome is something that doctors sort of feel, in many cases, uncomfortable talking about. But in fact, we need to be comfortable talking about it because it's important to the patient. Mm-hmm. We know that 80% of patients who go through cataract surgery are willing and interested to pay extra to have better vision. They understand this is a time point where they have sort of a one opportunity to do this and affect their vision for the rest of their lives. But a lot of surgeons are not comfortable talking about it because they feel like they're giving a sales pitch to the patient and like they're somehow selling out their physician relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John, that brings up a really important point. I hear from a lot of surgeons that say, look, I'm trained as a surgeon. I'm not trained as a salesperson.
Right.
I'm good at doing cataract surgery, but I don't know how to sell a premium lens implant or other premium services,
Sure.
So I just don't do it, or I avoid doing it or shy away from it. What kind of advice could you give?
Yeah, a good analogy is, if you're a doctor and you're talking to a patient about the cost of an eye drop that you're prescribing, and if you can explain to them that, there's one choice that may be a little easier on your eye, but it's more expensive, and another that's less expensive. Here are the trade-offs. If you're comfortable having that conversation, it's really the same kind of conversation about a premium lens implant. To describe what they do and what they offer, to put it in a context that the patient can understand, and then to explain the costs as well as the limitations of the technologies that are available is really doing the patient a favor. And I think we owe this to every single patient.
Yeah, John, that brings up a good point about discussing this with every single patient. Some people have brought up the notion that, well, some of my patients are not candidates for one technology or another. Maybe they have some ocular comorbidities or other issues that may not make them candidates, so I'm not even going to offer them a premium implant or other premium services. How do you react to that?
Yeah, it's important, I think, really for every patient. So we use a system called MD Backline that reaches out to patients before they ever get to the office for their first cataract consult to educate them in general terms about these kinds of implants. It makes the in-office conversation much easier when they've seen the MD Backline modules. For patients who are not candidates, it's really a simple discussion. We explain, look, these are an option for many of our patients. In your case, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think you need to spend extra money because your eye is maybe not capable of appreciating the difference in vision that kind of lens would give you. And patients appreciate the honesty and the fact that you've covered a detail like that because they have the same interests, whether they've got a comorbidity or not, and you're not losing anything. In fact, you're building upon your relationship with the patient when you just give them honest, straightforward information.
Well, John, this is a really, really great discussion for us about how we can help the patient experience, reduce pain points for the patient, and help patients to understand the process a bit better. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Thanks, Jonathan.